let's move to the skill 18 until 34 with me, Nasywa Kamila. Now, in these skills, we have long conversation. This long conversation, followed by the number of multiple choice questions, appear in part B of the listening comprehension of the paper Toefl test. The difference in this skill with the previous skill is that in the previous skill, the audio is only present with two dialogues and goes straight to the question. But in this long conversation, you will hear a long conversation and then at the end, there are some questions that must be answered. So, your thinking power is needed in this long conversation because you cannot write it down in your textbook. Now, here, I have a procedure for the long conversation. First, if you have time, preview the answer to the questions. You can do anticipate the topic and anticipate the question. Second, listen carefully to the first line of the conversation. Third, as you listen to the conversation, draw a conclusion about the situation of the conversation, like who is talking, where the conversation takes place, or when it takes place. Fourth, as you listen to the conversation, follow along with the answer in your textbook and try to determine the correct answers. Next, you should guess even if you are not sure, and last, use any remaining time to look ahead at the answer to the question that follow. Now, in this long conversation, what you have to pay attention to is before listening and while listening. Well, at the before listening section, there is skill 18, which is anticipate the topic. Anticipate the topic will helpful to your overall comprehension if you know what topics to expect in the long conversation. Of course, you can guess exactly what the topic is, but that's okay, at least you can get the general idea. Now, here look at the answer to the 5 questions together and try to anticipate the topic of the conversation for those 5 questions. Now, there is so many answers, so you can check this answer first and try to guess the topic. Like in number 1, find work on campus, work in the employment office, help students find job, ask the woman question. And number 2, in the library, in the classroom, in the campus office, in an apartment. Now, for this all of the answer, what is the topic of the conversation for question 1 until 5? Now, after I read all of this answer, maybe I can guess that the topic of this conversation is looking for a job of campus. Looking for a job on campus. That's okay if isn't not always exactly, but at least you can get a general idea for this answer. Okay, next. Let's move to the skill 19. There is anticipate the question. There is anticipate the question. In previous skill, we anticipate the topic, but in this skill, we anticipate the question. And you can anticipate what the question will be, and it's very helpful to your ability to answer individual questions with a long conversation if you can anticipate what the question will be and listen specifically for the answer to this question. And I have an example from the paper Toefl test. In your textbook, you read there is an answer. Number A is in the airport, B in the library, C in the dormitory, and D in the travel agent's office. Now, let's try anticipate this question. If we read this answer, it's all about talk about place, right? So maybe question for this part is, where does the conversation probably take place? Next, I have another example like here. So there is a fourth answer, like find work on campus, work in the employment office, help student find job, and ask the woman question. Now from this answer we can guess the question, maybe what does someone want to do, right? Because it's actually talk about something to do, someone to do, okay? Or maybe in the example number 2, they're in the library, in a classroom, in a campus office, in an apartment, and now this all of this talk about place, right? So maybe the question for this part for this number is where. Okay. Next, you should pay attention while listening. Before listening, you have to anticipate topic, and then while listening, you have to determine the topic. When you hear the conversation, when you listen each long conversation, you should thinking about the topic or the main idea for each conversation. And you should be asking yourself what the topic is while you are listening carefully to the first part of conversation. Why should first part of conversation? Because most of first part of conversation is the main idea. For example, you can see this. You can see example from the paper Toefl test. On the recording you heard. You cannot believe what I just got. I bet you got that new car you've always wanted. Now, how in the world did you figure that out? Now, after you you listen this audio, you think you can't. Maybe you will think that the topic of this conversation is the new car that the man just got. So, you must pay attention about when you are listening with determine the topics. Okay. Let's move to the skill 21. Draw conclusion about who, what, when, and where. Now, when you are listening each long conversation, you should be trying to set the situation in your mind, like who is talking, when does the conversation probably take place, where does the conversation probably take place, what is the source of information for the conversation. Now you must pay attention for those 4 questions. Okay, for example, on the recording you hear, why do you have so many books? I need them for my paper on George Washington. Do you know how I can check them out? Yes, you should go downstairs to the circulation desk and fill out a card for each book. Now, after you hear this, when you hear this audio, you should think about who, when, where, and what. For this recording, we know who is probably talking is two students. They are man and woman. Where are they? They are in the library. And what course are they discussing? It's about American history. Why here didn't where, when? Because this audio is unfinished, so you must hear all of this audio, so you can get all of this who, where, what, and when. Okay. Now let's move to the next skill. Skills 22. Listen for answer in order. There are 2 possible methods to use while you listen to a long conversation. First, you can just listen to the conversation and ignore the answer. And second, you can follow along with the answer while you listening. Like some students prefer to just listen to conversation while it is being spoken, and if that method work well for you. But other students find that they can answer more questions correctly if they read along with answer while the conversation is being spoken. So it's up to you guys. You prefer to just listen to the conversation and ignore the answer, or maybe you can follow along with the answer while you listen. Okay, next, if we were talking about long conversation, now we are going talking about long talk. Now, long talk appear in part C of the listening comprehension section of the paper Toefl test. So you will hear that the talks and the question on the recording, and they are not written in your textbook, and you must choose the best answer to each question from the 4 choices that are written in your textbook, like the conversation in part B. The different is just part B, it's long conversation. In part C is about long talks. Next procedure for the long talks is still same like procedure for the long conversation. Like if you have time to review the answer to the question, listen carefully to the first line of the talk. As you listen to the talk, draw a conclusion about the situation of the talk, like who is talking, where or when the talk takes place, which course this lecture might be given in. And then as you listen to the talk, follow along with the answer in your textbook and try to determine the correct answer. Then you should guess even if you are not sure, and last, use any remaining time to look ahead at the answer to the question that follow. Okay, let's start with skill 23, anticipate the topics. It's same like skill 18, it's anticipate the topic, but the difference is in here anticipate the topics and the long talks. Look at the answer to the 5 questions together and try to anticipate the topic of the talk for those 5 questions. The tips and trick is still same like in skill 18. You must read all of these answers and try to guess what the topic of all of this. Now if you read all of this answer, maybe you can think that the topic and the question 1 until 5 is about the requirements of a biology class. Okay, next to the skill 24, anticipate the question. It's still same like skill 19. The difference in here is anticipate the question from the long talks. For example, like this. In your textbook, you read for 3 weeks, for 3 days, for 3 months, and for 3 hours. Now, from all of this answer, maybe you can guess, you can think that this question from this number is about how long does something last, or it's about time, right? It's easy, right guys? Okay, so in skill 23 until 24 is before listening and long talks, and next we move to while listening long talks. And skill 25, determine the topic. As you listen to each long talk, you should be thinking about the topic or main idea for the talk. Since the first sentence is generally a topic sentence, you should be asking yourself what the topic is while you are listening carefully to the first part of the talk. Like this, for example, on the recording, you hear the major earthquake that occurred of Los Angeles in 1971 is still affecting the economy of the area today. Now, after you hear about the first sentence in generally topics in this audio, maybe you think that the topic of the talk is the effect of the 1971 earthquake on Los Angeles today. Let's move to the skills 26. Draw a conclusion about who, what, when, and where. Now the difference between in the long conversation is in long talks, there are who, like who is talking, and when does the talk probably take place, where does the talk probably take place, what course is the talk concerned with, and another what is the source of information for the talk. Like look at this example. On the recording you hear, the next stop on our tour of Atlanta will be the original home of Coca-Cola at 97 and 107 Meredith Street. Coca-Cola was manufactured at this location until early in September of 1888. Now, for this audio, you can get that who is probably talking is a tour guide, right? And where are they is in Atlanta. When does the talk take place? In the middle of a tour. And for the next question, like when, like who, and neither what, you should have to listen all of this audio, okay guys? But this is the tips and tricks. You must draw a conclusion about who, what, when, and where while you are listening these long talks. And next, let's move to the skill 27. Listen for answer in order. It's still same. There are two possible methods to use while you listen to the talks. First, you can just listen to the talk and ignore the answer, and then you can follow along with the answer while you listen. Some students prefer to just listen to the talk while it is being spoken and ignore the answer. But yeah, other students find that they can answer more questions correctly if they read along with the answer while the talk is being given. So it's up to you guys. You can just listen or you can follow along with the answer while you listen. Okay guys, I think that's all from me. Thank you for watching. I hope this video will help you to improve your listening skill. And good job for your Toefl test. See you! Bye bye!